second game from Wales, from Cardiff. It's South Africa against Afghanistan. Yes, we've almost forgotten about the South Africans. We keep saying must win, must win, must win. But really, if there has to be even a mathematical possibility, it's must win.
Absolutely. I was just thinking about it and said, how many years, when would you think you'd see the day where 4 matches are over and South Africa doesn't have a win on the board? They've 3 matches they lost one to rain. 4 matches and they've just got 1 point on the board. That's a scary, scary number. It's never happened to them in the history of the World Cup at least. And that they'll be looking at and saying that again, they have their backs to the wall. So the truth of it is they're probably going to turn around and say, this is the start of our campaign. We got a match. Okay, that match was rained out. This is the start of our campaign. And it's a good thing. Let's look at it from here on because you're 4 matches down. This is now knockouts. So any one defeat basically derails them. They need to win at least 5 matches and have that 5.5 wins to be at least qualify. So they'll say, we just treat it as a knockout. Every match is a knockout. Just look at it 1 match at a time. And sometimes that really works. It has worked for many teams. I remember KKR in 2014 famously were 2-5 and then won 9 in a row straight off. I mean, that's the kind of thing that can happen if you're now they're saying match by match by match by match.
Is there a danger of sort of individuals, almost, I don't want to use the C word here, but individual performances? How do you instill that within a team since you've experienced it?
Well, you're talking from South Africa's perspective.
Yeah.
Right? So I think for South Africa, I think the whole, like Joyda was mentioning right now, I think the whole perception or the whole intention for this game would be, let's just play this game. Let's just win this game. Let's just go out there and play to our strengths on that particular day. Nothing more. They'll shut everything out and they'll just focus on today. This is the 11. What is the best possible result out of this 11? What are the best possible performances from these 11 individuals? Let's get that together, get a win, move forward to the next.
Well, which 11 we are talking about? It leads us beautifully into that because this is the squad that they have to choose from. Remember, a couple of the 11 actually popped out. Still not sure about Lungisani Ngidi yet, so let's assume he's not in contention. Dwayne Proteas has been sort of bits and pieces to start with, so they've got problems, but they'll need to just figure out that 11 playing the best playing 11.
I think Bjorn Hendricks, I think this will essentially stay the same team that's up there on the telly. I think that's the same 11 that would play tomorrow. I don't see many changes. Maybe I don't see Proteas playing because he's an all-rounder and Chris Morris plays that role. I think this is the team that they will go with. I don't think there'll be many changes. And if Lungi I think they would afford. They could afford to give Lungi a little bit more of a break to make sure that he's fitter in for the days to come. So there's a lot of planning for the injured players as well that needs to happen, and I don't see Shamsi making it into this side tomorrow.
Amla will also want to look at this as an opportunity to get some runs.
Absolutely. I think they will be. That's one thing for them. It's really important to them. De Kock and Amla are really important to them up front. And De Kock has got a bit of form somewhere. Amla has just looked completely out of it. Even when he's looked set, he's gone and given his wicket away. It's really important. This team needs Amla in more ways than one because he's their calming influence. He's the guy who stands in the dressing room and people look around at him and say that he and du Plessis are so vital to this team. So he needs to be in form and it's really important. This is as good an opportunity. Afghanistan is as good an opportunity as any for Amla to get himself into a bit of form.
Now talk about problems. It's not that Afghanistan. So many teams have had different kinds of problems, be it the weather, certain complaints that have been issued, injuries. Afghanistan also have had their share of problems, not just the captaincy change, but Mohammad Shahzad getting injured. And we've heard, murmurs that he feels
We've
that he
heard
was
more
not
than just murmurs.
Yeah, he feels
I
he was
feel
not
bad for the guy, Gautam. As in, he's wherever he is, he's if he has to go into social media or go to the media, just per se to the media and say, and you can see the passion, in his eyes, yeah, and he's as in. It's heartbreaking for someone like me to see an athlete show so much emotion for his country and be hard done by the association. And we don't know what the whole story is, but from whatever it is, if he says he was fit enough to play, you need to take that word. You can't, as in it would be so unfair if Shikhar Dhawan's injured there, and suddenly the board decides to say, okay, we've sent the fitness certificate to ICC, we're sending a replacement in, right? It would have been so unfair to Shikhar Dhawan, and in that same light, it's so unfair to him as well, you know. So I think I really hope they sort this out, because even before the World Cup began, the players had a problem with the association. So it's not something that isn't there. It's an active problem which needs to be addressed, and because of that, my cards are on Australia tomorrow.
Yeah, and he's got that passion on South Africa, of course.
Sorry.
Yes, on South Africa.
On South
Africa. Australia against Sri Lanka, South Africa against.
I got confused with the double header.
Yeah,
sorry, people.
So much cricket coming up, especially because there's been so much rain. Now that we've got 2 matches of.
Yeah.
But you know, if you actually read about Rashid and all talking about when they came into the game, Nabi, Rashid, so much of them, so often they talk about, you know, Mohammad Shahzad and because he was a hero for Afghanistan and Afghanistan all through these, so the whole travel through the
association. The spunk that Afghanistan are actually as a cricket.
He was the first recognizable Afghan cricketer. I mean, if you leave out Salim Durrani, who played for India.
He is the coolest dude ever. As in, you really think someone as young as Afghanistan is in the cricketing world, for someone within that team to actually go head-to-head, toe-to-toe with Chris Gayle and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to give you a run for your money, mate, and actually do that, you know. And he was the guy who led that whole thing. And today, when you pluck someone like that out of that system, you're gonna leave a lot of people hurting. Not just their own cricketers, but fans as well, right?
I remember even saying the other day, when we weren't sure of what was developing, when it looked like it was just an injury, we said, well, even if it's an injury, let's hope they keep him in the dressing room.
Exactly what he said. He is essential to that dressing room. I'm telling you, Rashid Khan and all have often said he was a hero for them for so long a time, because he was a guy who'd say nobody else, you know, batsmen going down around him, he's still whacking the bowlers, because he'd play that way, he'd bring that aggression to the game, you know. And they're sick. Look, you've already had problems with Afghan cricket, you know, the change of captain, and 2 really senior people like, you know, Rashid and Nabi actually putting out on Twitter saying that, you know, they thought that the captaincy change at this point in time was unwarranted. So you have problems out there. You shouldn't compound it during the most important tournament in Afghan history, in Afghanistan history, by doing this. It's a pity.
Just a quick look at the squad, which now has a slightly different look to it. The Afghanistan squad, the replacement that of course came in was Ikram Ali Kheel, was their wicketkeeper. So again, they were not quite sure who would keep for them, but more than that, it's his personality, it's his opening batting, it's that excitement he brought to the squad. So, you know, really, against a team like South Africa, would they be looking at a Mujibur Rahman possibly coming in with that X factor?
Yeah, he probably will. Don't see him not playing, but for me, it's even unfortunate that Asghar Afghan isn't playing. Right? He was the captain before this World Cup and he was playing every game, and suddenly you take him off captaincy and you're saying to him that you don't deserve a spot in the 11, and that just says to me the kind of atmosphere that probably is in that Afghanistan dressing room today. So it's not very healthy. Let's hope it's healthier than we are assuming it to be. But it doesn't look good, and definitely see someone like Mujib playing, because they have to have match winners, so to speak, within that group. The young guy who's actually replacing Mohammad Shahzad is an 18 or 19-year-old. You want to give him a little time to get into his own skin within that group and go out there and express himself. He's begun well. He's scored, I think, a 50 or something in the past for Afghanistan, but you want to see him doing a lot more for them. So a lot will weigh on Mohammad Nabi, Naib, Rashid and Mujib.